SRP is the Society for Radiological Protection, and we're the UK's largest professional association for radiation protection. And our role as professionals is to help protect people and the environment. So everything we do is designed to ensure that where radiation is used or occurs naturally, people and the environment are kept safe. So our members come from all walks of life. We have medical people, people in industry, regulators who go around inspecting and enforcing the law, lecturers in universities and colleges, and people from the military as well, who, for instance, might work on submarines or work with radar and things of that nature. Why are we doing this? Well, as well as being a professional association, we are also a charity. But as a charity, one of the things you have to do is to serve the public. And we are here to do that by offering you this presentation today.
Welcome to the SRP Schools event.
What we've got here is an accident situation where somebody's fallen off a ladder in an area where there's a radioactive source. What do you think that the various components of that hazard are? What's important about this situation where the man is in relation to the source? How much exposure is he going to get?
It depends how far away he is.
That's exactly right, it depends how far away he is.
The second John Dunster Memorial Lecture, I would like to introduce to you Professor Peter Marsden from University College Hospital in London. Please welcome him, and I hope you enjoy your lecture. Thank
Oh
you.
God, you're scary. I work in a hospital, and so I want to tell you about radiation in hospital. There are some things about... Sorry, do you mind? It's getting a bit warm in here. You're very rude. Some views that you might have seen in the press about radiation. This is the disaster at Chernobyl in 1986. One of the reactors blew. That's a person who had too many x-rays in one day, an awful lot of x-rays in one day. 18 months afterwards, got a nasty ulcer on his back. If he hadn't have had the x-rays, he wouldn't have been there 18 months after to have a nasty ulcer on his back. That's not the point, but... do you remember Alexander Litvinenko? He died from radiation poisoning, actually in the hospital where I work. This is Fukushima. A group of experts not from IKEA. These are from the International Atomic Energy Agency. And they're a bunch of experts who are looking at the damage, trying to work out whether the whole thing's going to blow and send radioactivity everywhere, which would be a bit of a shame if it did. They monitored quite a lot of people. These are the headlines from around the world after the disaster in Japan where the tsunami hit and killed 20,000 people. Look at the headlines. They're all about a nuclear disaster waiting to happen. Of those 20,000 people who were killed in Japan, I'm going to tell you how many died as a result of radiation. Do you want to guess? So why was all the press focusing on radiation? It's because it's a favourite subject. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, because apparently that's what I'm supposed to do. And I have to be honest, the next slide you're going to see is really, really embarrassing. This is me when I was 13, actually on a holiday in Scotland. I was born in Lancashire, my dad's an electrician. My mum made clothes. She made the clothes that I'm wearing there. She was really good. When I was young, I always wanted to be a lumberjack. I didn't fancy chopping down trees, but I liked chopping them up. That's what I wanted to do. Then, when I got to university, I wanted to be an astronomer, but who on earth pays anyone to look at stars? Actually, people pay quite a lot, but there you go. Then I got hooked on radiation. Something just clicked. Oh, come on. Now I want to find out what your experiences, your impressions of radiation are. So one particular school had a visit from someone with a film camera last week. I'm going to show you what they said.
I think of danger. Danger. Danger comes into my mind. Half-lives.
UV lights.
The electromagnetic spectrum.
Protons.
Proton, neutron, electron.
Radiation from the sun.
The sun.
The sun.
Decay.
Nucleus.
Alpha and beta and gamma rays.
Physics.
Nuclear.
Carbon dating.
Neutrons.
Ionization.
High frequencies.
Becquerels. Explosions.
Chernobyl.
Cancer. Diagnosis.
Curing.
And cures.
It's like something that's been emitted, maybe from the sun or like decaying nuclei.
I think it's something to do with like an unstable nucleus.
You can get it from the sun and it can cause cancer. Radiation is the emission of a substance from a source such as light.
There are many types of radiation. It's mostly the emission from something.
Stuff to do with the electromagnetic spectrum as well.
It can be used for medical purposes and nuclear bombs.
Can be emitted from the sun, such as UV rays, which can cause melanoma, which is skin cancer.
It's used in carbon dating to find the age of a historical object.
And is also involved in nuclear radiation, such as nuclear fission, which is the splitting of a nucleus, and nuclear fusion, which is the fusion of two nuclei.
It could be used for bombs or for power.
And it could be used like in medicine for like diagnosing cancers, or it can cause cancer as well though, because it's quite dangerous.
Yeah, I've had a few x-rays.
I've had it at the dentist and I've had it on my hip bone.
Yes, I've had one on my tooth and my finger.
I had one on my arm.
Yeah, I have. When I was younger, I fell down some steps and then I broke my front tooth. And I had to go to the dentist and they had to take an x-ray of my mouth.
I don't really remember much about it, apart from it was in a big room and I got to wear cool glasses and a little bib thing.
It wasn't really painful, I didn't feel anything.
They were just like a flash of light and then it was over.
I had the idea that it would be painful, but you didn't feel a thing. It wasn't sore at all, but you did have to wear a lead apron.
Everybody else who was in the room had to leave because they had to be protected from the harmful rays.
We asked most, if not all of you, to go through a process of writing down what you thought when you heard the word radiation. This is a combined answer from the majority of the schools who replied. And I don't know whether you're familiar with the word cloud concept, but what we've got here is the bigger the word, the more times it was said. So these are your words. And we've got atom bombs, dangers, mutations, nuclear power, nuclear weapons, Chernobyl. We've got some interesting ones as well. There's Hiroshima and there's Nagasaki and there's cancer and there's kryptonite. There's a frog. Some of you have got an interesting taste in television. Zombies. Some of you are very clever and you've got Little Boy and Fat Man. Some of you will know what those are. A little bit of medicine. There's some very odd ones around though, which I'm struggling. There's a three-eyed fish up there. But I want to take you away from the disasters and the dangers of radiation, and I want to start thinking about whether or not it might be good for you. And I've got this one slide which has nothing at all to do with medicine, but many of you may know, after going around the exhibition, or you already knew, that most smoke detectors have got a radioactive source in them. That's how they work. Some statistics I managed to look up from the Audit Office said that in 2010, 2011 in Great Britain there were 45,000 fires in homes. For houses that had a working smoke detector, not just a smoke detector, but one that actually worked, so the battery wasn't flat, there were 5 deaths per 1,000 fires. If you didn't have a working smoke detector, that's 8 deaths per 1,000. The difference between them is 3. Even I can multiply 3 by 45,000 and come up with 135 lives saved. Now, statistically, if there are any statisticians on the upper ranks, sorry, it's probably a load of rubbish, but it gives you some idea that there are actually a considerable number of lives saved in the UK every year because there's a little radioactive source stuck on the ceiling in your hallway. So maybe radiation does some good. There's lots of uses of radiation in medicine. I want to concentrate on X-rays very much, because you all know about X-rays. This is the guy who discovered them. His name's Röntgen, and in 1895 he was doing some experiments in a lab in Germany which involved a glass bubble with no air in it and a few electrodes and passing some current through them. And he was messing around. Also in his lab, he had some photographic film. And after he'd done his experiments, he realised that his photographic film had gone foggy. He'd been exposed to some sort of something that had caused it, light, I presume he thought, that caused it to go black. And he did it often enough and realised that what was happening is that something was coming out of this tube and it was turning his film black. He didn't know what it was, so he called it X. That's why we go to hospital for an X-ray. Had he been just a little bit more thoughtful, we could all be going to hospital for a Freddy ray now, but he didn't, he called it X. There you go. And let's see how we've evolved. That is the first X-ray ever taken by Röntgen of his wife's hand. Perhaps he already knew that they were going to be a little bit dodgy, so he used his wife instead of himself. If you look at a sort of a more up-to-date comparison, hopefully you'll see that the quality of the X-ray has improved since 1895. Such that we can do things like this with our X-rays now. I want to explain how we do it. At this point, we're going to have a bit of a show. Come up. We have some pre-arranged volunteers to come up onto the stage, please. What I want to do is to show you how an X-ray machine works using the pupils of Pearson Academy. Thank you very much for coming. I need a couple of helpers, and I have arranged for some superheroes to help out. Could I have my superheroes? No, okay, I'll have you instead. These guys here, isn't it? What we have here is an X-ray tube. Over here, this is the filament of a light bulb. You're metal and you have electrons, and normally electrons are just being tossed around by their atoms, and they're all very happy. What I'm going to do to them now is I'm going to pass a very small electric current through them. Could I have a helper at this end and a helper at that end, please? So you're going to make up the circuits. Right, so I'm going to pass a little current through you, and the electrons are going to flow like a current to you, and you're going to put them back in there, and you're going to pick more out. And let's do it. Let's have a current. Okay, I'm going to increase the current now, so that the electrons will flow a little faster. Right, whilst they're doing that, I would like to introduce you to my anode. Oops, sorry. Okay, thank you. This is the anode. This is a large metal plate, which I am, at some point in the very near future, going to put at a huge positive potential. This is the positive end of a very large battery. We've got up to 100,000 volts flowing through these ladies here. They are messing around with electrons. Electrons are negative. But before we start, what we need to do is to get you to rotate, because you're going to get very hot if you hit if all these electrons hit you. So could you sort of do cartwheels? You did practice this, didn't you? You can't do cartwheels. Okay, could you wiggle? Sort of. Right, now then, if I put this very large voltage across, all the electrons, so you move over to the side, or else you're going to get in the way. All the electrons from over here are going to go to over there. Right, okay, I'm going to put on the very large voltage now. That wasn't, I don't know about you, but that wasn't very good. The problem that we've got is that, you remember Röntgen had a glass bubble with a vacuum in it. So we don't have a vacuum in this auditorium. In order to get a vacuum up on stage now, all of you have to suck as hard as you can. Come on. Okay, the sucking, good idea, the sucking. Okay, right, let's go for it. Go! Okay, off you go, off you go. Go, 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 go. Come on. Thank you. There are the X-rays. What's happened? The electrons hit the anode and they cause a lot of heat to be generated, so you're getting quite warm. And they also cause energy to be given off, which is this stuff that Röntgen didn't know what it was called, so he called it an X-ray. Thank you very much. What are the medical applications of this X-ray? There's diagnostic, where we take pictures to work out what's going on. We can have interventional work with X-rays, where we actually use X-rays to guide some sort of keyhole surgery or something like that, a screwdriver, something, to fix things. Or we can use it for therapy, to treat diseases. And I want to give you a little bit of some of those, starting with, this is a combination of diagnostic and interventional work, and I want to show you the insides of a fairly sophisticated X-ray room. This is an angiography laboratory, and I'm going to show you the view from where underneath the sits. Maybe I'll show you where the surgeon sits. We're going to have a look around. That's the anaesthetic kit there. Don't put me in a car, I crash. This here is the X-ray equipment. The X-ray source is this bit down here. and that's going to go through the patient lying on the couch, and he's going to hit a detector there, which generates pictures which you can see over here. And that's just sort of pictures of the insides of the person who's going to be lying on the couch. That's sort of how it works, okay? C1 in use. It sort of looks like this. Usually these guys are not just standing around doing nothing, they're actually poking things around and sort of shoving things up orifices and things like that, you know. Take that one stage further, and we've got something called a CT scanner. You come across CT scanners, I guess. This is what it looks like. There is actually an X-ray machine inside this here. You sit on there, lie on there, it lifts up and it shoves you through that hole, and there's an X-ray machine. Sorry, it's technology too much. This is, if you take that and take the lid off, you get that inside. That's the guts of an CT scanner. The X-ray machine, the X-ray bit is there, and the detectors are there. You go inside that when you have a CT scan, and there's about a ton and a half of metal in that structure there, and this is what it does. So whilst you're quietly having your CT scan with maybe the odd flashing light, it actually is about a ton and a half of metal spinning around your head at about a rate of 3 times a second.
0.32.
Oh,
No,
okay,
that's good.
0.32.
Yeah,
And
go on, please.
the wonders of this is, how do you not get your wires tangled when you got the 100 and whatever thousand volts in there? Surely the wires would have broken by now. The technology still allows a piece of equipment to do that, and to do that at such a speed, and to be safe, and not start wobbling and fall over is quite tremendous. It's nothing to do with the wonders of science and radiation. The actual, just the engineering of something like that is stunning. How does it produce pictures? We've got another little demonstration now about how that works. Can we take these side lights down? Right. Oh, you. Right, what we've got now is an X-ray. The X-ray is light in this case, and there's a spotlight down at the back. We've got our patients who are here. And you are a surgeon or a doctor who's looking at that picture and thinking, is that legal? You can't really tell what it is yet, can you? Now can you tell what it is? Okay, right. Can you lean forward a bit and use it? Okay, right, I think you're okay. Right, good. Just spin round now. Okay, right, you can stop. Great. Okay, we'll have some lights back. Thank you very much. And thank you. You're right. Thank you, gentlemen, or whatever you are. And they produce images, amazingly, somehow, that look like this. What we've got now, if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, these are slices of pictures through your body, moving up and down. And on the left and in the middle, you've got slices going that way. So the X-ray is spinning around your body, and it's getting images from all different angles, all different positions, and you're sliding in and out. So it builds up a 3-dimensional array of data, which we could use to reconstruct pictures in any way that we like. And we can mess with those pictures as well. If we don't want bones in them, we can take the bones out. If we don't want tissue in them, you can take the tissue out. You can do all sorts of wonderful things with these pictures. Someone's lungs, breathing, your heart. We've stripped out the rest of the body. You've got a heart there, and you can see the veins and arteries that feed the muscles that make your heart beat. One of our major problems is when those veins and arteries get clogged up and stop working, and then your muscles in your heart stop working and you have a heart attack. This sort of image helps to detect problems in obstructions in the arteries and veins around the heart, so we can predict heart disease. This would take away the skin and everything. We're actually looking now at the arteries and veins that feed the brain. And this little chap here is a bit of a problem because the blood has started to pool and bubble out in a vessel, and so there's a sort of, the vessel's getting weak, there's a collection of blood, and if that gets worse and worse and worse, then it goes, then you've got no more blood supply to your brain. You don't last very long if you don't have any blood going to your brain. So we can do something about that. Using this image, you can see exactly where it is, probably using some sort of keyhole surgery which uses X-rays to get to that point, and then you can sort of squirt polyfiller in the thing so that, you know, it sort of blocks it all off, and then it just creates a nice little... It's actually not far off polyfiller, but don't tell me. This is looking at blood flow in the brain. One of the things that we can do is inject a dye into the bloodstream which stops X-rays more than blood does, so it appears to be black. So the sequences of images you've got there on the left show as the blood starts flowing through the brain and then draining out. The picture on the right is translating that into a colour scheme. The stuff that's been there longest starts red, and it goes through the colours of the rainbow until it gets to violet, if I remember rightly. You'll correct me, won't you? And so you can see from that still picture on the right how the blood's moved through the brain. So if there are any problems, blockages, or anything like that, parts of the brain not getting any blood, you can see it, and you can then do something about it. Guess what this is? It could either be a look down your mouth, or it could be a look up your bum. I believe that there are quite a number of children in here who are probably not at all interested in a look down your mouth. So we have a look up your bum. This is using a CT scanner to create enough images to then strip off all the stuff we don't want and produce a three-dimensional view of your back passage. There's another way of doing this, and I want to show you the other way of doing it with... The conventional way of doing this is to stick a camera up your bum. This is my own camera. It seems a waste, but it's in a good cause. It's for the future of the schools of Scotland. Are you ready? Or you could use a CT scanner. Thank you, you can let him go. He's actually quite a decent bloke. I wouldn't want to do, and it's my camera, so I don't want to get it dirty. Instead, this is what a virtual colonoscopy looks like. I have only got, I'm afraid, one slide that shows you what we do with radioactive material. That is a picture of a CT scan, but it is fused with an image from nuclear medicine where radioactive material has been injected into the body. Radioactive material is attached to some sort of pharmaceutical, a drug of some description, and the drug will go to certain parts of the body. For instance, it might go to your kidneys. You can track the radioactivity, because you've been looking at radiation detectors, you can detect radioactivity, you can show them up as different colours on a picture, so you can see where the radioactivity is going through your body. The difference between that and an X-ray is that the passage of radioactivity through your body shows how your body is working. It doesn't show you what it looks like, it shows you how it's working. So if you stick the two together, you've got something that shows your body and how it works. And you might have strange things like this appearing, which suggests that there's something a little bit wrong there, and maybe there's something a bit wrong here, but you know exactly where that is, so it helps then to target the treatment. And now we're going to move on to, actually finally, to radiotherapy. We've done diagnostic work with radiation. This is therapy with radiation, because radiation does kill cells, and it kills normal cells, but it also kills cancer cells. And in some cancers, that have a really good flow of blood into them, you can actually kill more cancer cells than ordinary cells. But the art and science of radiotherapy is to target your radiation beams so that you focus on the cells that you want to kill and avoid the cells that you don't want to kill. And this is a huge glorified X-ray machine. What we've got here is a table that the patient lies on. They've obviously got to be very tall to jump up onto that, but once they're on it, they lie on there. And this is the source of radiation coming down here. And this is giving, our X-ray machine before was about 100,000 volts. These are millions of volts. So it's pretty hefty stuff. Inside one of them, it sort of looks like this, where there's a beam of radiation coming down here. It hits a deflector and goes through some sort of filter here and here that shapes the beam to match the part of the body that we want to irradiate. And then that thing rotates round, so it goes at different angles, so that it all adds up at the middle where the cancer cells are that you want to treat. This is called a cyber knife. This is one of those huge, massive treatment machines on the end of a robotic arm. So now you can move your radiation around in any direction you like. So if a patient is lying on the table and breathes, that machine will move as the patient breathes so it doesn't miss what it's going for. This is from the manufacturers of that cyber knife. It's obviously a launch at a conference, rather like this. This is really embarrassing. I think it's something that only affects adults and not children. What have you learned? I don't know what you've learned. Probably they're a bunch of prats, but hopefully you've got some idea what X-rays are, how they're made, the type of equipment we use in healthcare, the fact that radiation can help diagnose injury and disease and also treat it. Now then, you did a word cloud at the beginning. I practiced this on my local school, St Andrew's Catholic School in Leatherhead in Surrey. And I got them to do a word cloud, and this is their word cloud. I then did a scaled down version of this talk, and the following day they did another word cloud. Before and after. Before, nuclear power, absolutely fine. Bombs, toxic, mutation, overload, damage, cancer, radioactive, heat. Afterwards, help, radiotherapy, healthcare, good and bad, fine, still got a bomb in there. We've got the weather. It's raining a lot in Surrey at the moment, so I think radiation's obviously to blame for the weather. And so you see, there is actually, I think there's quite a difference between the word cloud on the right and the word cloud on the left. And if you go away with a message that radiation isn't just harmful, it's not just about bombs, it can bring huge benefits to society. We need to control it properly, sure, but it can bring huge benefits to health. We need it. It's really interesting stuff to work with. It can be beautiful. Hopefully, it can be fun as well. I think radiation clicks. I've got a few people to thank, but thank you very much for coming, because I think that the most important thing is there's been a lot of advance in the beneficial use of X-rays over the years, and they've all been down to the brilliance and the innovation of scientists in past generations who've made all this happen. But I want to tell you that we have not answered all the questions. We need another generation of people who are going to do this to answer the questions that we can't. You're the future. You are the people who are going to come and take what has been done here and take it to the next step. We need you, okay? Thank you to Pearson Academy. Homer, thank you. Homer is actually Colin Partington, I think, who's alarmingly former head of safety at Sellafield. Spider-Man is Pete Cole, who's Radiation Protection Advisor at Liverpool University. Great place to go. Actually, I'm sorry.
I'm from Edinburgh University.
From Edinburgh University, thank you. Thank you very much. Well done, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it just remains for me to thank Professor Peter Marsden for his amazing demonstration of the uses of radiation protection in medicine. Peter, thank you, and University of there are other people I'd like to thank as well. This doesn't happen just like that. There's been a huge amount of work gone into this, and I would like to thank the exhibitors who put together all the information in the hall for you, in Hall 2, and in particular, I don't know, can you stop for a minute?
I don't know, have we got?
Can we have the lights up? There's one group of people I'd particularly like to thank, which is our SRP project manager and his team. John Croft, are you in the room, John? Take a bow. Thank you very much for all your hard work.
Andrew, you've enjoyed today so far?
Yeah, it's been good.
Can you tell me what sort of things you enjoyed the most about it?
I liked how physics, it was quite good to learn quite a bit there.
Playing the game of Cluedo, that you learn how easy radiation can be passed on to others.
How everything works and like how radiation spreads really quickly and how it's...
Which one was the one that showed about it spreading?
The game of Cluedo. It was we all shook hands and they like scanned their hands and like the radiation was really high every time we shook each other's hands.
We learned about the x-rays and stuff.
The best thing was the laser workshop. It was quite interesting.
Right, I haven't seen that. What was that about?
Yeah, they're just telling you how lasers work and how they can burn things and move things using the things like the iPad and the Apple hardware.
Yeah, the x-rays and how they've improved over the years and like how they measure like, how good a quality it is, like by counting the wee circles that can be seen.
Ladies and gentlemen, it just remains for me to thank Professor Peter Marsden for his amazing demonstration of the uses of radiation protection in medicine. Peter, thank you, and University